ready for the grimiest and grittiest of all podcasts, pro wrestling, music, and entertainment, is the Ewokk and JB Show.
What is crack-a-lackin'? It's your boy, the Ewokk, and this is the Ewokk and JB Show. You know, we got to keep it legendary with the guest. We got Mr. P.L. Myers just chilling with us, man. How you feeling today, brother? How you feeling?
I'm doing great. I'm just so honored to be part of this show because, you know, you guys have so much fun on it and you talk on so many different varied topics. I had to think of all the things that I got to talk about tonight and make sure I'm current with what Ewokk likes and what Mr. Bullard likes.
Yeah, we straight shooting. This is a straight shooting podcast, man. Well, whatever we talk about, we talk about, man. If you feel like you need to butt in and talk about what you want to talk about, we'll talk about it. You know what I'm saying? Let's talk about that little cover behind you, that little poster behind you.
Yeah. And it comes in book form too.
Oh wow. Look at that.
Anyway, and Ewokk, I know you'd appreciate this, and the G.I. Joe 12-inch action figure.
Damn. That's nuts. I need to get one of them.
If I ever get argue with myself, I have to talk to him. So yeah, so you can see he's all looking forward to the night show.
Damn, does it got the kung fu grip?
Yeah, it does. It has it right here. It has different accessories. It has a little Chicago flag too.
Oh, that's dope. That Chicago connection.
Yeah.
You know, I have to say this. I think PL was like the very first person in Chicago to actually develop a brand that was like uniquely his own, that wasn't a company. Like, I don't know if any other guy in Chicago, like I say, like, yeah, I have action figures and I wrote a book and all this other stuff. Everybody else is like, I wrestle. And he was just like, I do all this stuff and TV hosts, like way before him and I got involved in doing television wrestling hosting. This guy, Hero TV, I'm like, man, he was a trendsetter. And I want to use that word a lot with you tonight, man, because I learned a lot from you. And a lot of guys, and not just myself, but there's a lot of guys in Chicago will mention you as a mentor. You've mentored you've been doing this for 21 years, correct? Give or take?
On 21 years, managing April 29th, 2000 for PWI, ran by Sonny Rogers. That was my first time in the ring. But I started Hero TV back in '96 when I started doing my interviews, and that's what led it in. And going back further, doing college radio. So that just transformed from one thing to another. But I mean, just like you and Ewokk, it goes back to that first moment where you fell in love with the business, and you wanted, like I explained to people, we were at the and I said a lot tonight will not be name dropping to make a point, but just to name because how that moment was so special. We were down at the XWF down in Florida with Hawk, Piper, and Greg the Hammer Valentine, and quite a cast of characters. And it goes back to, I remember watching Greg the Hammer Valentine, not the hugest fan, but had respect for what he did. And I told him, like, wrestling is kind of like Christmas. We see the snow fall down, we see the presents, we see everyone in a good mood, and then we see Santa Claus up on the top, and we want to go up there and say, Santa, I love Christmas so much, I want to be part of Christmas. And that moment, he pulls down the beard and says, Merry effing Christmas. At that moment, you tell him, fat man, put the beard back on. I'm just going to be a fan, and I don't want to know behind the scenes. I just want to enjoy what I see. No, the blinders are on, like us as fans growing up. Or I say, I know I can't be Santa Claus, but maybe I could be an elf one day. And that's what happens when you get in the business. You see the other side of it, and it's heartbreaking. Wrestling, and I think just like anything, it's the most underhanded business in the business. And I think that goes for anything. If you're in karate or boxing or any sport or any event, there's always the other side that no one wants to talk about. And unfortunately, wrestling has that other side once you get involved, because when that curtain got pulled back by Vince McMahon in '87, when he was trying to save money for the New Jersey Athletic Commission, he just basically said, hey, we're entertainment. It's not real. And I go back to Bobby Heenan. Yeah, we never said it was fake, but we never said it was, we never said it was real. So.
Yeah, that is like how like Bobby the Brain Heenan how is it to interact with him? His promos outrageous and good, and it hits you right in the soul. Like, was he like that as a human, like in person, like as a friend, as a mentor, as a just a all around guy?
Oh, well, the thing is that I think just like, I mean, name Ewokk or John, you name your favorite guy or one of the guys you grew up idolizing, and you only saw the television side of it, or you were a fan and we were at the Rosemont Horizon, now the Allstate Arena, and we could get close to the door where the people went in, and Bobby Heenan goes in the door, and my friend behind me yells, "Weasel!" And he just turns around and gives the nastiest look. So when, long story short, when Hawk passed away, my friend, my hero, mentor, passed away, Bobby Heenan was at Hawk's funeral. When he heard me speak, Hawk passed away in October 19th, 2003 of a heart attack, enlarged heart. And the next few months, they had the service, and I was asked by his wife, Dale, to speak at the funeral for the public ceremony. The private ceremony was I took Paul Ellering's spot. Paul Ellering was there for one day, so I had to speak in front of Vince McMahon, Bobby Heenan, who I didn't know was there. All these legendary wrestlers, Ted DiBiase, Nikita Koloff, Tim Horner, Terry Taylor, all these guys. So you're getting up there, and I decided to speak about Hawk the person. He was my hero, and I was probably the only one that talked about him as a man, and his family members really appreciated that, because I didn't talk about myself. I was talking about Hawk, because you only have a few minutes up there to talk about who he was and how he represented everybody. So when Bobby Heenan started doing his book tour, say I met Bobby Heenan a few years earlier on his first book tour, nice guy. And I said, "Bobby, what do you think about Captain Lou Albano? 16 different championships." He goes, "It's all work." I'm like, "Oh, he got me." And I didn't know the behind the scenes stuff. So I was like, "All right, you got me." And then when I then I talked to Bobby Heenan through the Elmhurst College radio guys. They said, "We'd love to get Bobby up for another book tour." I said, "Okay." So when I booked Bobby Heenan for PCW to do his book signing through Chicago, I met him on a Thursday night, probably at 10 o'clock at night. He was driving from Indianapolis with one of the book guys, and he looks at me and goes, "You got my airplane ticket on the way home?" I'm like, "No, I'm not in charge of that." No. "You booked me, and you better find out, because I can get on a plane, after tomorrow, and I'll be gone." Because he still had Friday, he had a book signing, radio appearances, which we got him, and had the wrestling show the next day at PCW. So my first real interaction with Bobby Heenan was, uh-oh, he's mad. And I learned real quick about when you're in charge of the talent, you have to handle all aspects, and you can't rely on anybody. So if you book the guy, you got to make sure you got the airplane ticket, where he's going, his itinerary. And I kid you not, by the time I got home, got on the computer, talked to the book tour, I probably had like 2 hours sleep, picked him up back at the airport hotel at like 5 o'clock in the morning. And I said, "Mr. Heenan, here's your itinerary. Here's the flight back information." So we did our first radio thing was Pete McMurray. We were on there for a half hour. He wasn't interrupted, and it wasn't even pre-signed up. And he got a great PR. Then we went to Mancow, who's a radio guy in Chicago.
He was a huge wrestling fan too, right?
Oh yeah. Mancow. We were on there for an hour, and I kid you not, Mancow always had like 20 people in the studio at one time.
Yeah.
So he got like 2 words in within an hour. So the guys came back out, Bobby Heenan sitting there, and he goes, "So what do you want to do tomorrow night?" I'm like, "Whatever you want to do." He says, "Well, when you have throat cancer, you can't be a heel anymore. So we'll do something with you and I." I'm like, "Okay." So the guys from Mancow's comes back and says, "Bobby, that was great. You want to come in for the next hour?" "Sure, I will." They left. Bobby saying, "Let's get the hell out of here." He left because he's like, "Why am I going to sit here on the air and be about Bridget the Midget?" He had some guy from the guy from Battlestar Galactica, himself. he couldn't get word edgewise in there. So we go to the book signing, and all the people in line actually heard of him at the show before than Mancow's show, unfortunately. So just because you're the biggest radio show in Chicago doesn't mean everybody's listening or everyone's going to show up. So we had people show up at the book signing, and then it was great. And one of the funniest stories there was one of the wrestlers that wrestles for POW right now. His mom brought him to the show, and he basically, it was Pee Wee, and she goes, "Yeah, my son is becoming a wrestler," and Bobby Heenan goes, "Oh, really?" And he goes, "Well, how old is he?" "Oh, he's about 16." "Ma'am, are you into child abuse?" And the woman, her jaw dropped down, like, what did he just say? Because Bobby Heenan's mind was, you're not a man yet at 16. Your body's still growing. You're not ready to be a professional wrestler at 16. And the funny thing is, when I talked to Bob Purnell, Pee Wee at POW about it, he was laughing. He goes, "Yeah, remember that story? Your mom and me," and like, "Oh yeah, you're the guy." And that's it. That's his like badge of honor, meeting Bobby Heenan. So when we got to the show, Bobby Heenan, we did the book signing at the show, and Bobby Heenan basically said, "All right, I go in the ring. I'm getting manager of the year from Chicagoland." They used to have a website in Chicago, Chicagoland, or Chicago Wrestling, run by Al Lagoda, and he was going to present me with manager of the year. And Bobby Heenan comes in, all people are clapping, and Bobby Heenan apologizes because he's going through throat cancer at this time. I mean, he lost a lot of weight, and so I said, "Ladies and gentlemen, my new best friend, Bobby Heenan." And people were all happy. He comes in the ring, and Bobby Heenan says, "I appreciate everything. I know you can't understand me, but I thank you very much. I appreciate it." And I look at Bobby Heenan. I have his book in my hand. I said, "Bobby, will you sign my book?" He goes, "No problem." I drop the book. He picks it up. I put him in a headlock. I take his own book. I lift it up in the air for the whole crowd to see. Bam, hit him right in the throat. Goes down to one knee. I rip up the book. And I go, "Hey, Bobby, there's your ticket tape parade. I'm P.L. Myers, a shot to the top. Who the hell do you think you are?" And I left, and the crowd just went ballistic. I go in the back, and Bobby Heenan goes, "That was great. That was perfect." I said, "I didn't hit you." "No, no, no, I'm fine." And at that moment, we did an interview the next day for my show, Wrestling Resource TV. And he looks at me and goes, "You know what? You got heart. Don't try to be me. Don't be Cornette. Just be yourself. And you got to have heart." So our friendship was built on that. And then when I decided to write my book, Gate to Gate, after Hawk passed away, I saw Bobby Heenan in a Ring of Honor show. This is when he was working with Jim Cornette, and I'm helping him with his merchandise. I said, "Bobby, life is way too short. Hawk passed away. I'm writing this book, tributes to Hawk in the book. I'm going to write about what we did in Chicago in 2004. And I just want to thank you, because you didn't have to. This is like Michael Jordan helping out a kid in high school. I mean, I'm a nobody." And so he goes, "Well, who's going to write your forward?" Now I'm thinking maybe my dad or somebody like that. He looks at me and goes, "No, I'll write the forward." So Bobby Heenan wasn't asked to do it, was willing to write the forward to my book. I met him at the Comic-Con in Chicago. He wrote the forward of the book, a beautiful forward, which, again, it was like a blessing. His throat cancer got worse. And when the book came out, he came out to do a book signing with me, my book signing at PCW. And, you could hardly hear him. He lost so much weight. He had the reconstruction jaw surgery. He signed all the books. He signed a few more books. And I saw him two more times before he passed away. I think he passed away in September 17th. So, Bobby Heenan was a great guy to work. He was always quick-witted. He was always trying to promote, and he didn't have to help me out. I mean, he was like, "I talked to Pat Patterson today about you." "Really?" So he tried to get me in as best he could. But, when you work with the legends, you're held to a higher standard. Like, you can't mess up. You got to, Bobby Heenan did not put that much effort into me to be disrespected or not think that I was going to go far or going to be the best at what I could be. And so, yeah, Bobby Heenan was definitely someone that you grew up watching, never thought a million years. This guy that worked with Andre the Giant at WrestleMania 3 and started 93,000, or when he was a wrestler, he was probably one of the best wrestlers on the planet
Yes, he
because
was.
the way he worked. I mean, people don't give respect to Bobby Heenan of how he worked. I mean, he knew how to work the crowd. I mean, he wrestled like a manager and managed like a wrestler. And for what he did and managing the AWA and the Chicago Amphitheater where he started out, working with all the legends and from his AWA run to WWF or and WCW. I mean, prime time wrestling. I mean, those are legendary with Gorilla Monsoon. So I take it very seriously about Bobby Heenan. I learned a lot from him. I learned how to be professional. You're in charge, you do it, and just once in a lifetime. And for him to write the Ford, I mean, that's I'm done. I can quit. I'm done. I'm retired.
Hey, I got to pick up the book. Hey, so if you listen to this, watching this, hey, pick up the book right now. Where can we find that book right now?
You just go to Amazon, and it's cheaper than eBay. So just go to Amazon. And the great thing about the book is that all the proceeds went to the Illinois Special Olympics and the Elmhurst Day Camp program, and we raised about $1,000 when the book came out. So
Yeah, I got mine.
Yeah. Oh my God, that does exist. It's like the Holy Grail. Someone actually bought it. No, it's one of those things where I'm proud of it because it wasn't a he said, she said book. It was how I got involved. My mom and Mike Gilmartin, who's world famous athletic trainer down at UIC, worked with Michael Jordan at Elmhurst College. He helped with the book. He's part of the Chicago Connection member. He's just done so much. He helped out the boys, and I know Ewokk, you and John, I know you'd appreciate this. 90% of the time when you go into a locker room, there is no trainer. There is nobody to help you. And my friendship with John started at, I think, at one of the ECW shows. And he came out to LWF where I started. He started coming out and wrapping the boys up for free. He spent money out of his own pocket to make sure all the boys were taken care of. He worked with MCW, Brian Zenner's promotion. He worked with PCW for a long time. Just a great, big-hearted person that loved wrestling, and he helped with the book, and we made sure. And then I had a world-famous artist from Chicago, Francesco, just a lot of love put into together. And then my cousin Jennifer Rolsman, she helped edit the book and get all that, and we got on lulupress.com, which is the best way to do a book. So Ewokk, when you're ready to write a book, and John, you're ready to write a book, that's the best way to go, because I went to publishers with the book and they told me the turnaround time was going to be at least a year before them to read it. So you're 2 years out when you're all done. And then on top of it, think of how much you're going to make per book. Well, I can print up the books by myself, as small as one book, and up to 100 books. And I save the cost, and then I pass it on to the fans. And then it's like, I know you don't want to be stuck with books, but think of this, Ewokk. You walk into a WWE locker room and go, here's my resume. Enjoy. That's how I looked at it.
Yeah, but me, I'm gonna go audio book, and then I'm gonna go with book with mad pictures.
Oh yeah,
like a Dr. Seuss book or something.
I was on my wife the other day. I said, no, what someone marketing wise needs to do is do adult pop-up books. Yeah. And I swear to God, it would make money hand over fist if someone does adult pop-up books. Well, I would buy one just for laughs.
Don't give me that idea, because I'm crazy like that.
Well, you see some of those books that they have out now, which are like a double entendre, where they're like dirty books, but it's like, my dog the cat, or my rooster the cock, or whatever. It's all those books that they read them, and it's like the simplest book, but how you read it and how you understand that word, it's like the dirtiest book. Children's books.
The thing that's really impressive about what you've done, Paul, is you developed your own brand in wrestling. And so with the Chicago connection, I know when you originally started, when you first got your foot in the door with
Yeah.
wrestling, it wasn't with PCW, it was with LWF, which was a very legendary promotion in its own rights in the city of Chicago. What was it like in that early days in the locker room of LWF?
Well, the thing was is that, you know, when you're in Chicago, and remember, you're talking 20 plus years ago. There is when I started, there was you heard of Windy City, which is by Sam DeCero. And I don't mean to use this word, but they use it a lot. But Godfather of wrestling, but he
Yes.
was the founder. I mean, from his wrestling days when he wrestled to starting this promotion, Windy City, he was on Sports Channel, which was one of the. I mean, remember cable back 20 plus years ago? You only had limited channels, and Sports Channel was the big sports network.
I think it was
I mean,
Channel
he was
10.
on. What was that?
I think it was Channel 10 in
Yeah,
Chicago.
yeah. He was on Sports Channel with Windy City. So we only heard of the big companies, but then only you heard about Windy City. And one of Tony the Razor DeVito, he was one of the, I believe, managers, and he actually came on my radio show back in I think 94, 95. We got him on because he was with the Zebra Kid, who I met at POW Wrestling before he passed away. And you know, just growing up with Windy City, that was like the benchmark. And then you had PWI, which I learned about, which was kind of like WCW. And then East, the ECW of Chicago was the LWF run by Billy Wack. I mean, I went there and it was that same feeling that I had watching ECW. And you go there and the crowd's nuts. They had guys like Acid, the human highlight reel, who is phenomenal and should have been in WWE. I mean, then you had Double M with the greatest super kick on the planet. Then you had the SUVs, the straight up villains. I mean, you had all these guys, Supreme, and there was Minnie Jones who became Cognito Jones. You had a guy named the Hogan guy that Hogan. He was Hogan because he looked like Hulk Hogan and was seen at a ECW show in Chicago at the Odeum. So the LWF atmosphere was just it was just like a different world. It was almost like a whole bunch of guys that love wrestling. They had creativity. They had the ring. Braun the Lumberjack was there. I mean, you had so many other great wrestlers there that had their own look and they had their own gimmick and they had their own thing where it was just like it was just an electric atmosphere. And when I started with them, I'm actually met the LWF guys through John Spawn, who was a timekeeper in Chicago, who worked with the Athletic Commission, worked with WWE, and he introduced me to the LWF guys. And then I met Billy Wack and told him what I want to do because that time I was trying to get into ECW because of Hero TV. I was starting to do interviews with wrestlers, and I said I'd love to do backstage interviews. Well, at 6'4", Tony DeVito looked at me, who was a wrestler of the Baldies, and goes, "You're too tall to do interviews." I'm like, "Well, you're too short to wrestle, so let's end that conversation real quick." I started sending my promo tapes to Paul Heyman of interviews I did with Ted DiBiase, interviews I did with Hawk, and said, "Hey, this is what I can do." And so I told Billy Wack, I said, "Hey, my goal is to get to ECW." And he knew that, but he wasn't, I don't think he was used to someone coming from the business world because I was older at the time. I started around 28. I worked for my father's real estate company for 10 years once I got out of college. So they weren't used to that. So when I came there, I mean, everybody back then had action figures. They took the WWF action figures, painted them up to look like it. So I said, all right, well, let me come up with something different. So a friend of mine, Scott Pyburn, he decided to mold this head to look like me. I got the 12-inch action figure, like the old GI Joes, and said, hey, I'll come with my own action figure. I walked in the locker room and I brought it. I'm like, yep, here you go. And they're like, what? How much did you spend for that? Doesn't matter. I just did it. Or, this guy says, well, I got Vince McMahon's autograph. Well, here's a picture with me, Vince, and Linda. So it was like, I wasn't trying to up anybody. It was just, I was determined to get to that next level. And I started training at the LWF. So I bumped for 6 months. and my neck still hurts after 6 months, because as a manager, you're not going to get respect if you're not willing to do what the wrestlers do in some respects. I'm not going to be the human rag doll and known as, hey, that's the manager that we toss around every day. No, I'm for showing, not for throwing. And that locker room was a unique locker room. Guys that were determined, and when they saw me, they weren't used to it, because I actually got a few of them in a tryout at ECW when they were at the Odeum. Acid, Double M, I think Jay Jensen was there too. So it was just a unique locker room. And then the PWI locker room was a lot of veteran guys from Windy City that worked with Sonny Rogers to form that company. So the early days, it was by hook or by crook, because as a manager, I didn't know what to do, because back before I started with the LWF, when I was traveling with ECW, kind of like the movie Almost Famous. I'm traveling with the band. I didn't work for them, but I was trying to get my way in. And so once I had my first match, April 29, 2000, with PWI, I sent my tape in, and they said, yeah, keep it up. And November, Paul Heyman saw it, and he goes, I know who you are. Keep up the good work. And, I, I, I created the character actually at November. Remember, before I started in 1999, I went to Buffalo, New York to watch ECW. I got on a plane Sunday morning with my suit on. That's it. And my bag of gimmick stuff that I needed, papers and stuff. Went to Buffalo, New York, got in my rental car, went downtown, found the gimmick van where they sold all the stuff. I said, hey, where are the guys at? Oh, they're by the airport. Got to there, ran into Paul Heyman in the elevator. I told him who I was. He goes, no, I know who you are. Keep up the good work. Went to the show. My flight wasn't until 6 o'clock in the morning. Hung out with Bill Alfonso, Spike Dudley, Jerry Lynn, New Jack. And that night we came up with, what's your name going to be? PL Myers, because there's too many Pauls in the business. So I used the initials PL. PL could stand for anything, pure luck, promotional locomotive, whatever you want to call it. Came up with the suit look, the sunglasses, and came up with the shot to the top, pro wrestling's manager extraordinaire. That night it was formed, and I told New Jack, I said, yeah, they keep telling me I'm too tall to be a manager. He goes, Gary Hart was 6'4", Slick was 6'5". So yeah, it just took off. So working in the independents when I first started, I didn't really get trained. I trained in the ring to learn how to bump, but promos, how to do it, what they wanted me to do, it was all by hook or by crook. I just grew up what I saw, but I wanted it to be professional, so I wasn't going to embarrass anybody when I stepped out there.
Hell yeah. Oh, I got two questions for you, two important questions. First question, this is more of a informative podcast. What is the correct way to cut a promo? Was my first question. And then my second question, how did you feel the first time you hit the ring as a manager, as a worker, but getting out that curtain, how did you feel? What was the feelings going through your body?
I can still close my eyes and know that moment, because that moment, 2000, when I stepped out the ring for PWI, what happened was there was a wrestler in the LWF named Floyd Turbo, which was a gay luchador, all pink, but his real name was Marcus Dornbos III. So he went to PC, or his name was Marcus Dornbos. So he said, Paul, I'm going to go to work for PWI. I want you to be my manager. I'm like, wow, this is great. So I basically, knowing to cut a promo is the hardest thing to do. And I'm horrible at promos back then. And I'm still my biggest critic, because you only have 2 minutes to cut a promo. And I was thinking all the things I was going to say. And Big Jack John Burke, who was a booker for PWI, told me, all right, kid, you got 2 minutes, go out there, say what you got to say, do what you got to do. So I got the suit on, I got the glasses. And the reason why I wear the sunglasses is because in Bret Hart's book, he wore the sunglasses because he was nervous. He didn't want the crowd to see his eyes. because he was nervous. So I said, all right, I'll put the sunglasses on. I'll go out there. I go out there with Marcus Dornbos. I have friends from growing up in high school. We're out there, and I was nervous. And I go out to the ring. I'm like, all right, I'll remember everything I'm going to do. I get out there. I cut my promo. I'm like, okay, I think I hit everything. I come back. I hit my spots in the match. I go back, and guys go, you're over on time. Like, oh, sorry. But you only have that one moment to get that people's attention. You only have that one moment because you just don't want to be just rambling. You want to hit a point, and you want to make sure those people are listening. It's like cutting a Jake the Snake Roberts promo. I don't need to yell. I want you to listen to my words. I want to get those fans in the palm of my hands. And I think the thing is that the best advice for cut a promo is look in the mirror, start talking to that person. Use that, because Bobby Heenan and most managers will tell you, don't wear glasses, because they need to see that intensity in your eye. They need to see that emotion, because most people, in WWE have scripts. Their scripts are this thick. I remember going to some of the ECW guys were signed by WWF or WWE, and they would have to read and memorize all this stuff. And then by the time you're trying to memorize something and when the next point is, it's like that spot in that match. Most guys can't call a match. They basically have all their spots planned out, and they have it on their tape. Like, okay, we're gonna hit this spot, this spot, this spot. They don't know how to call a match sometimes. Most guys don't. And so I just say, for a promo, I just say the best thing to do is write it down, what points you want to hit, doesn't make sense, and kind of memorize it, but also be able to speak from the heart. Because if something throws you off, if some fan says something, you got to be able to stop, react, and go back to your script, because you have to play to the crowd. Because you can't just, it's not about me just going out there and talking. It's about me connecting with the fans. It's like I kind of use the analogy of 9/11, a horrible tragedy in New York. But if I'm PL Myers going to Chicago, from Chicago going to New York, I'm going to basically say, you fans in New York are hypocrites. Okay, now they're going to go, what are you talking about? Many years ago, you loved the cop. You hated the cops. You hated the fire department. You didn't care. A tragedy happens, and all of a sudden you love them. They're your best friends. Now all of a sudden, a few years pass by, you hate the cops. You don't even respect the firefighters anymore. At that moment, without saying about 9/11, because it's a tragedy, you're making a point that you people, you flip on a dime. And then the next night you go to Philadelphia and go, you people, you're hypocrites. You're double hypocrites. Why is that? Because you want to be like New Yorkers. And if New Yorkers are like this, and you only got one street in Philadelphia, and that's South Street, and it's all made of bricks. Chicago, we have the Mag Mile, we have Rush Street. You guys are hypocrites. You're worse than New Yorkers. And that moment, you've connected with the fans, because you're not just coming out saying, oh, New York sucks or Philadelphia sucks. You make them think. And if I can cut a promo to make the fans think and go, yeah, he's right, but he's still a jerk, but he's right. That's how you put a promo. You grab them. It's like getting the little old lady to want to swing a purse at you. You don't want to be hated because you just suck. You want to be hated because you grab that emotion. Wrestling is about emotion. And if you can grab that emotion and make them hate you, like PL Myers walks out the curtain. Why? I'm not cocky. I'm convinced. I'm the very best at what I do. I can drop facts. You people want to say, okay, well, I'm tall, yeah. I'm bald, okay. I'm losing my hair, big deal. Okay, but I work with this guy, this guy, this guy. What do you say? They can't say anything. And I don't have to go out there and swear. I don't have to go out there and just go in the south side of Chicago. Oh, the Sox suck. Tell me, okay, boo. No, I want them to hate me. Because if you can find something in the paper or something about these people and make them think and go, he's right, but he still sucks. PL sucks. Okay, I've done my job. But that's the best thing about a promo, is speaking from the heart. And yeah, there'll be times you stumble in that promo, but if you can speak from the heart and grab their attention and make them go, yeah, he's right. or I hate him even more. That's how you cut the promo. So the first time going out that ring, you always remember that, whether it was great or bad, but it's a feeling you can't, it's a high that you can't take away, because at that moment you have crossed that line from being a fan to being one of Santa's elves. And when I went out there, I was a shot to the top, pro wrestling's manager extraordinaire. And there was nothing anyone could do about it, because I was going to tell him, I said, you know what, tonight, you better take that ticket, you better frame it, put it on the wall. This is like watching Michael Jordan's very first shot, or Brian Urlacher's first tackle. You're witnessing history. And those people are like, you suck. And I reeled them in, and I did my job.
Like I found out like the hard way, easy way, whatever way, that like people hate the truth.
Yeah.
And you started telling people the truth in a live promo, like my first ever promo at Wrestle League. Like I was telling the truth. Like I was just saying things, just visual, and people were just hating it. Because my gimmick, I'm from Buffalo, New York, and I'm talking about the Chicago teams and all this stuff, and like everybody's just hating it because they know it's right, but man, you're a jerk. Screw you.
Yeah, and that's the thing, because if you can get them to buy into you and hate you, because I mean, anyone can say you suck, or cut a horrible promo, but if you can grab them and get that emotion as a like little kid, you've done your job.
Yeah, and then the baby face comes out and whoops your ass, and then boom, here we go.
Oh yeah, and that's the whole thing. It's like you have to have good versus evil. You have to have God versus Satan. I mean, it's like the one, if you don't have one to go against, you're not going to win. I mean, that's what Al Snow taught me. He says, you got to have the good side and bad side, because you have to have people invested. When PL Myers comes out there, if I was in a match with Ewokk, 99% of those people want to see you kick my butt. That 1% is going to say, how is Paul going to get out, PL's going to get out of this match? That's what they want to do. And if I can get that promo and cut, says, you know what? I know Ewokk's tough, and I know Ewokk's going to do this to me, but he doesn't know what I got in my back pocket. And it makes people think like, I mean, look, I know you're going to beat the living daylights out of me. You're an athlete. You're a trained professional. But I have to make those people want to see, how is he going to weasel his way out of this one? And that's where you get the interest in the match. Because I know between you and I, we would sell out the Michigan City about 2 seconds, because 99% of those people want to see Ewokk's going to beat the living daylights out of that 6'4" old manager.
It might happen, man. We got the booker right here. We got the man. We got the man to make it happen right here.
I'm sitting here though, like that would be kind of fun to watch. Ain't gonna lie,
No, because I've stepped in the ring a few times, but I've never said I wrestled, because that's disrespectful to Ewokk. That's disrespectful to you, John, because you guys have trained to be a professional wrestler. And the thing is that I'm still a man. I'm 6'4". I'm still going to put up a good fight. But if I walk around like, hate to say, like Jimmy Hart, the skittish guy, it's not believable. You got to play from your strengths. And hey, I'm still a man at 6'4", 200 some pounds. But I know, hey, Ewokk, you want to fight? Hey, let's go fight, because you disrespected me and I disrespected you. But the thing is that when you wrestle, you can't wrestle like a wrestler. You have to wrestle like a manager. Because if I start like when I was in my match, true story, I was in a match with Sonny Rogers, main event. Sonny Rogers has never been in a main event before. We're at the PCW school, and I'm in a main event. Kingpin's in my corner. The referee is my former manager, former wrestler I managed, Flyboy TK. So the deck is stacked against PL Myers. And what PL Myers? I went old school, lock up. Come off the top rope with the axe handle. I mean, off the second rope with the axe handle. Lock up, headlock. Simple things. Got him in the sleeper. And what happens? He tries to get out. Here comes Kingpin. Guy's not looking, hits him with the bowling pin. Got him in 1, 2, 3. I had to make it believable. Sonny Rogers should be able to beat me 10 times out of 10 times. But I outthought someone because I had Kingpin ringside. And then I was in a War Games with the Chicago Connection. PL Myers should not be allowed to wrestle. So what did I do? I put the stop sign underneath the shirt. So when the guy came and charged at me, he hit the stop sign. PL Myers is still a man. PL Myers is still going to fight you. I might lose, but I'm at least going to put up a fight because it's believable. And that's the whole thing about wrestling is that it's one guy versus another guy. So, it's how you promote it.
Hell yeah. Go ahead, John.
I was going
You
to say
saying something?
the thing about you, Paul, is you're like a modern day Gary Hart in the sense of like, I'm a huge student of Gary, and Gary would never run from any of the baby faces. Everybody knew Gary was legit Southside Chicago, street tough type of guy. He was a former wrestler, but when he would be put in those specialty matches, he would work as a manager, and he would do the same way. You're going to kick the crap out of me, but I will always find a way to get the upper hand on you. I'll always find a way to come out on top, but it's going to be, I'll take the beating first, then, find the way to do it. But the thing that I always wanted to know, how did the whole Chicago connection begin? Like how did the brand, I guess there's a couple of parts on this. How did it form first? And did you know that this is going to become like a legit brand in the city of Chicago for wrestling that is literally now is going on year 21 with all the members that you guys had over the years and all the big main event matches, the championships, all that thrown in. So how did it all start?
Yeah, it's kind of funny because you go back to your roots of how things happen, and a lot of things in my opportunities have just happened by accident. It's the stars are lined up. It's whatever. When I started in the LWF, I met Kingpin, who you know very well, and we just hit it off. He was a former manager at the Windy City with the bowling pin, the Kingpin. Managed quite a few different guys. Nick Brunswick, I believe. He was brought in. And he started doing the hotlines. And him and I just started talking. Like, it'd be kind of cool. What's that? Because we were both older. I mean, Kingpin's a little bit older than me. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. So when you have two older guys that have real life experiences, no offense to anyone starting out, but most guys that start out are around 18, 19, 20, and they're younger. We're the old guys. So we decided that let's form a group, two managers. It's never been done before. Again, might have happened before, but I know it's like Jim Cornette and Bobby Heenan working together. Never done before. So what happened is we decided to form this group. All right, what are we going to call it? We're connected, right? We're from Chicago. Yeah, let's call it the Chicago Connection. Wow. Let's make this thing work. So we went to the LWF, and one day we decided to show up at a Bourbon Street in a limo. Now, independent wrestling doesn't have limousines. You and I both know that. You don't see it unless you are bringing a huge name star, because who's going to invest the money in a limo? So we had a guy drive us down to Bourbon Street, show up in a limo, and everyone's like freaking out. The owner, Billy Ewokk, comes out, looks inside the limo. Who's in the limo? Us. Why? Because we can. And we did it quite a few times. We just showed up. Now, we were fortunate, but we said we have to look larger than life. It's all smoke and mirrors. It's P.T. Barnum. So we decided to form it. And we took it to, I got let go with the LWF, creative differences, I guess. So I went I knew the guys in PWI who I was friends with, and said, well, can I work with you guys? Sure. Because I was never out to hurt any company. I was always giving advice. It's like, John, you're like the tree of knowledge. If you ask me, I'm going to tell you. That's how it is. And I started talking to the guys in PWI, and they want to do something. I said, well, you got to change the name. You got to you got to do this. You got to do this. So I was coming from the business side, because most wrestlers are so close to the tree, they can't see the forest. And I was seeing the forest because I had a business background. I had, I have to promote, I have to hustle, and I have to get my name out there. So we decided to form the Chicago Connection in PCW. It started with Big Jack John Burke, myself, the Kingpin. Then we recruited Jared Priest. And there's the four of us. And we just formed this group. And I came out with the Chicago flag. And it's PL Myers and the Chicago Connection. And the members just keep changing. Then we had Jay Phoenix, Michelle Morgan, all these guys. And it just started going over and over. And it's just like all these guys we started forming this faction. And then we came up with the logo. I was seeing a friend of ours husband was part of the Chicago Police, and they had this little logo here. It looks like the Chicago Bard. So we just said, all right, let's put the Chicago Connection, the little CC, and put like a star. And so we came up with the logo, and just then we started getting championships. And the great thing was is that Chris Styles, we had him too, and guys started winning championships. So now we started a track record by hook or by crook. And the thing was is that the Chicago Connection is a band of misfits, guys that would go out to the ring by themselves with no reaction, but because they were with me and the Kingpin, that they're automatically hated. Perfect example: Rick Knight, big baby face in PCW. When he joined the Connection, heel. And he had the freedom because he knew I was out there. He had the freedom to cut his promos the way he did. So the Chicago Connections just started growing and growing. And I told him, I said, I want it to be like the Horsemen. We all steal something from different patterns, but I wanted that professional look. I mean, that's why we started getting T-shirts. We started getting the jerseys. Our jerseys were about $100 each. The boys paid for it. Why? Because it was about brand recognition. Because it goes back to Jimmy Hart. If you look like you're part of the crowd, stay in the crowd. And we wanted to do that. And that's what happened. We look, and I remember the picture with Bobby Heenan. It's in the book. It's me, Jared Priest, Jay Phoenix, Whiplash, Michelle Morgan, all with belts. And I'm sitting right in front of them, holding my hands up. And that actually picture was because of Bobby Heenan. Because he knew sometimes when you're a little bit taller than your guys, it doesn't help your guys look menacing. So I just sat down and here's my guys. And we just stayed winning championships. So when guys left, retired, we just filled it with someone else. If we kicked somebody out, we got them back in, or something happened. It just became a vehicle. And then some people wanted to, want to get rid of the Connection. And I'm like, why? Why am I going to change the name? We built a brand. And that brand we just made look larger than life. I mean, if I keep saying the Chicago Connection, the most dominant championship faction in pro wrestling, if I keep pounding that down their throats, I keep saying it, someone's going to believe it. And if we show up in limos, we look the parts, we win the championships. That's how it started. So it has evolved over the years where guys have gone out. We actually had a match in PCW, old Connection members versus new Connection members. Kingpin was on one side, I was on the other side, because it's like it became the NWO. There was a little friction, and other guys helped out other guys, and it evolved, and it kept going, and it just, as Rick Knight said, it was a brand. And that's why I say it. It's not just, it's a business, it's a brand. And when the Chicago Connection ended in PCW in 2015, because I got married, 2014, going into 2015, we shut our doors down just because after 13, 14 years, we just did everything. The Chicago Connection was dormant. And then we had Joey Boom Boom decided, hey, I like the Chicago Connection. I always respected the Chicago Connection. And with Cognito Jones, who's a former tag champ of the LWF, Minnie Jones became Cognito Jones, I worked with, we basically decided, hey, let's do the Chicago Connection. I said, all right, we got the logo, we got the name, we got the history, and we just came out and got the hoodies on, because we said, well, let's not do the baseball jerseys because, everyone wears hoodies now. We got the Chicago flag patches, everything stitched. I mean, these aren't cheap. Because why? We had to look the part. And I think the evolution of the connection is it's had right now, as of we speak, we have 24 members of the connection. We have members coming down the road that want to be part of it because it's a belief. It's not cocky, it's convinced. It's built on respect, individual pride, and tradition. I was taught by my high school coach, Joe Newton, who won 29 state championships, more championships than the Yankees. Taught me that you look like a champ, you act like a champ. I was part of the 14th and 15th state championship as a manager. So my manager skills started with Coach Joe Newton. And he actually came to my very first PWI match when I first PCW match when we rebirthed, it was called. He came out and saw me, and I held up the belt. I said, "This one's for you, coach." And that's how it is. It's built on principles. It's built on things because I don't want to be embarrassment to anyone. I don't want, and let's say Ewokk joined the connection, hypothetically. I don't want him to be not wanting to wear this. I don't want him to say, "Oh, I'm just in some group. It doesn't matter." No, it matters because every member, they got to pass a litmus test. They got to have heart. They got to believe in what they're doing because it's not about the money. I mean, yes, independent wrestlers want to get paid, but in the big scope of thing is you got to have fun. You want to enjoy what you're doing because unless you're getting paid the big bucks by Vince McMahon or Tony Khan or in Japan, most people aren't professional wrestlers full time. They don't put it on their IRS forms. I mean, I think it's like what, maybe 300 people across, maybe 400 now, maybe 400 people actually claim themselves as professional wrestlers on their tax forms. I mean, it's very limited. It's tough to be a professional wrestler because the moment you get that spot, someone's going to come after that spot. And that's how this business is. So to make a long story short, the connection was formed based on an idea. It's grown, it's evolved, it's grown, it's stopped, it's grown. But 21 years later, we got t-shirts, we got business cards, thanks to Cognito Jones. We're walking around, hey, join the connection.
I thought that was rolling papers.
Oh yeah, no.
Hey, not a bad idea, man. In Chicago, you can smoke pot now. So I mean, not a bad idea, PL.
I was like, look at you.
We're trying other things, but the thing is that we have people wearing our shirts in our video that we did from London. The guys at Power 4, both John Scotts wear them. You got guys in New York. You got guys in Tampa. Bill Alfonso's part of the connection.
Lovely guy. I love that dude.
Yeah. I mean, yo, daddy, right down the middle.
No, he like 2 weeks ago, actually 3 weeks ago, in Wisconsin,
yep.
I talked to him. Like amazing, like him and RVD, amazing people to talk to.
Yeah. And the thing is that in this business, as you know, Ewokk, you have probably a handful of people that you can count on. 21 years later, and it's been a little bit longer, I've known Bill Alfonso. He's the guy I can call right now. Hey, daddy, how you doing? He cut a promo. He took pictures. He actually has a video with he has one of the original PL action figures. Him, his friend, and Tommy Dreamer are three of the guys that have them. I gave it to him as a little thank you. And he's like, for what Bill Alfonso has done in this business as a referee, as a manager, as a guy that helps promos out, is so underrated that, the knowledge that you learn from him still after all these years. And he's like, yo, daddy, I'll come to Chicago. Yeah, I'll be up at CCW. You call me, I'll be right there. Why? He doesn't have to. It's just like Bobby Heenan. He doesn't have to help out, but Bill Alfonso will help out anybody who asks for it. And you learn so much because he taught me when I was traveling with ECW, you got to be more than a manager, daddy. You got to promote. You got to get people out there. And it just makes it sense because I got a fan at my very first one. They were in Danbury, Connecticut. And I had a fan hold up. No, actually Birmingham, Alabama. We're there doing it at a Home Depot doing an autograph sign. And all these kids are like, who are you? Aren't you part of ECW? No, I'm trying to get signed. And I told my story. This guy named Zach Goodwin came to the next show that night. The cameramans keep busting my chops. Like, hey, are you ever going into ECW? And the kid had a sign, PL Myers Fan Club. up in the balcony, holding us. I'm not a manager. I'm not working for them. And I told that guy, I said, it only takes one sign. If you make someone believe in you, they're going to push you to the moon. And that's what that thing's all about. So with the connection and, making this thing evolve into a business, we have to look larger than life. Because if I don't, why does anyone want to buy a t-shirt? Oh, it looks cool. No, they're part of something special. And just like how John sends letters out to all the people for buying tickets, you don't have to do that. He does it because he's building a business. And that's what I've learned is just it's connecting with the fans, because as you know, Ewok, this independent wrestling scene, you lose one fan, you lose all of them, because that one fan becomes two fans, become three fans. I have fans in PCW come to me, goes, thanks for letting me come out tonight. What? You paid the ticket? They are the ones. That's why I work so hard to connect with the fans. I might be the bad guy, but I'd rather sit and talk to the fans all night long than go to the bar and just sit in my little corner by myself with no other wrestlers. No offense to anybody, but they're the ones that put their money into this business. They have that true love of the sport, and if you hook them, they'll follow you for life.
Yes, sir. I've been noticing that, just so somebody, I sent the shirt to Europe. It cost me a whole lot, but I sent
Yep.
the shirt out to Europe. But it was like somebody that see me on Power Forward, and they're like a fan of mine. They're like, yo, I don't know where to get your shirt, so I sent it to them. It cost
That's
me
why.
like $25, but it is what it is.
You know what I
But
want to do?
think
Not
but
trying
think
to
of
cut
what
anybody off. Not trying to cut off anybody. But I want to say something real quick. Ewok, me and Paul's actually even talked about this. If you want to get your merchandise over in the UK, you let me know. I'll get you in contact with the guys who run Wrestle Merch
Yep.
Central, and
Okay.
they're actually doing all the Chicagoland shirts in the United Kingdom.
Okay.
So that way they'll do your distribution for you. You still get paid, but English fans could actually buy your shirts without paying that $40 shipping cost, because like it's ridiculous to ship something from the United States.
Yeah, but like I do it out of love, man. It's just
Yeah, man,
like
absolutely.
I said on previous podcasts, like me with an Ewok shirt, like somebody in Europe with an Ewok shirt, that's a billboard.
Yeah, man,
Yep.
And
absolutely.
it's dope as hell. It's like I might have something Jack, like as Jack the Ripper or something in Newcastle. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to UK, man.
Well,
Shout out to UK, shout out to Europe.
and that's the thing. I sent the shirts to the Power Four guys because they love the connection. I didn't have to do that. I could have said, "Hey, I'm not going to do it. It's beneath me." No, those guys love the connection. They're gonna ride and die with us to the end. And that person in Europe that wants an Ewok shirt, it takes one person, and then they're gonna ask, "Hey, where'd you get that cool shirt?" I got here. Oh, okay. Now it's two fans in Europe, and so by the time you get over to London, Ewok, you got your own little clique group. That's
Yeah.
all that knows you, and that's what it is, because it's going back to being a fan. Growing up, you never had a chance to meet the wrestlers, talk to the wrestlers. Now the business is so open up, you have a good chance to get a cameo from a wrestler, talk to them at a convention or something, which we never had. So it takes one fan, but that one fan becomes two fans, become three fans, and you know what? And that's what it is. It's about. I was in Rockford, and I know Ewok would appreciate this one. I'm outside. I'm the host of Hero TV. I'm waiting for the Road Warriors. All these kids keep hearing me talk. We're outside the center in Rockford, and all these kids hear me talk about all the wrestlers. They came up to me and goes, oh, "Do you know Stone Cold? Do you know this guy? Do you know this guy?" I'm like, "Yeah, I know this guy. Or I bought this guy beer." And they don't see my show. They don't have no clue who I am, but they wanted to be so close to those wrestlers that I was the closest thing to them. This mother brings over her daughter, and she goes, "It's my daughter's birthday." Now at 6'4", I knelt down to that little girl because I'm intimidating to a little kid. I knelt down. I said, "Hey, how are you?" Gives me the biggest hug. That's why I do what I do, because in this world, your job could be horrible, your family could be horrible, your everything could be horrible, but for 3 hours of wrestling, and I don't mean to take away from any wrestler or the business. It's mindless entertainment. You get to just cheer for Ewok. You get to boo the connection For 3 hours, you don't worry about that bill you got to pay tomorrow morning or how you're going to get groceries or anything. For 3 hours, you are locked in. It's like watching a movie. You forget everything. Time stands still. And we can give that satisfaction or that entertainment. You've been able to touch people's lives or affect people's lives in a positive way.
Yeah, and there's people that don't want that to stop. I have people in my DMs and hit me up every day, just like, "Yo, how you doing, Ewokk? How you doing?" And like that's sort of weird to me. Is just like, yo, like I just wrestled a few shows. I'm probably like 50 to 60 matches in, and I got people that like hit me up. They're actually like legit fans, and they're buying stuff off of my Bandcamp, and they're listening to my music, and like it's just weird, like getting
Well,
wrestling fans. It's dope. It's dope. And like people don't want that experience to end, and like I understand it. You know what I mean? As a wrestling fan myself, I understand it.
well, and think of this way, Ewok, the satisfaction that you get with these people. And the thing is that I'd rather have Ewok be the king of Chicago than some nobody around the country that no one cares about. These fans are connected to you. They want to know you. Granted, some of them get the stalkerish level, but there are times where those fans just want to be part of it. And if you give them that attention, you got that fan for life. They'll do anything for you.
Man, and I don't mind no stalkers yet, but I ain't never had one. But if I do, hopefully, they buy me a steak dinner or something.
Yeah, there you go. John Bullock's got a stalker. That guy from Chicago won't keep bothering him all the time.
Well, you got a stalker?
John's got a stalker. He's looking at him right now. Hi, John.
Oh.
Hey, Neil.
No,
I actually used to have a fan when I used to live in Kentucky. I used to have a fan that would try to come by the house all the time. And at first I was like, "Oh, you're here to buy tickets?" They're like, "Yeah, but I also like to hang out with you." And I'm like, that's cool. How did you get my address? Like, it was just like really, yeah, it got really kind of weird at a while. I'm like, okay, bud, like, I'll see you at shows. We'll just leave it at that. Like, I'm not trying to be mean to fans, but like, I live a very private life, and so
Oh yeah.
it was kind of it got a little awkward. I ain't gonna lie.
No, I ain't never had no stalker. I think I had a stalker, but like became my girlfriend.
Oh, there you go.
That could either turn out to be really good, or that could turn out to be really, really bad, depending on how it ends.
No, but we're not together, so that it is what it is.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Yeah. You know how I roll, man. I live a life on the edge, man. Come on now.
Yeah, your book's going to be the most interesting book once you're done, you're ready to put some stuff out there. It's going to be a good read, man. I look forward to that.
Yeah, like I said, it's just gonna be straight audio book. I might have mad pictures, you know what I'm saying? Like like my fan base, most of my homies, like I ain't gonna say they can't read, but but it's gonna be mad pictures. It's gonna be 5 to 20 words per page, and then but the audio book's gonna be fire, full of comedy.
Hey, Ewok, don't worry, because my book's 200 pages, all in crayons. It's only about 5 sentences. That's why John loves it so much. It's pictures and in crayon.
Yeah, I see the back of it. Got mad pictures.
I joke with my wife all the time about that. I was like, that's too big of words for me. Is that in pop up, or is that in like crayon? She's like, just shut up. Just get this go. It's like I love giving her a hard time about that. But one of the things I have to say, Paul, it's awesome that we have people like yourself, C Red, and the other veterans who develop a brand, develop merchandise, and you guys are willing to teach the young guys about this stuff. Because I feel like, you look at a lot of wrestling schools, and wrestling schools will be like, okay, we'll teach you how to bump, we'll teach you how to work, we'll teach you how to do all this stuff. But I feel like a lot of wrestling schools don't teach marketing. They don't teach how to develop a brand, how to make yourself a brand, how to make you the greatest investment in yourself. And I feel like when we have guys like yourself, C Red, and there's like a handful of others that have legitimately went out of their way. They made their merchandise. They went out of their way to uh, create moments over the years for fans to remember why they love wrestling. People can really learn from you guys, and I feel like having guys like yourself, Kingpin. I know this sounds like we're going off and so off the fourth, the proverbial fourth wall, but
It's all
let's
C
say,
Red's fault.
yeah,
Broke the fourth wall every week.
yeah. But I mean, but I'm just going to speak from the heart though. Like having you, Kingpin, having Red, work in my locker room. I'm probably the most blessed promoter to have legitimate good veterans that are willing to teach, willing to help guys with that marketing idea, how to make people remember you 20 years from now. And, it's, I feel like we got a good formula going because it's a mix of young guys, young kids, but also we have that old school veteran leadership that's also there too. And I think it's the perfect mesh of what every wrestling locker room needs.
Like, I feel like our roster, we got good up and coming rookies that get it. We got we got great veterans, and it's just like we got even better fans.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They get it. We got people that love the old school wrestling. They want to get back into wrestling. They're finding new stars, new heroes. Like you got little kids in that town that can't wait for this show, man. It's just like we're building something from scratch. And like I hate to always say this, it's a club that a lot of motherfuckers can't get into.
Yeah, and that's the great thing about it, because you're not just grabbing guys all from the same company that closed. You're bringing guys in from who have experience, like C Red, as you know. um, I think the world of him. You know, I knew him one working a few companies, and then our bond got closer, and then you just sit back. It's like with Ewokk. I didn't know Ewokk from Adam. I met him the first time downtown Chicago for someone's birthday week, and I'm like, yeah. And I met him, and I'm like, oh, this is cool. And then I started seeing his videos, and I'm like, wow, this guy is cool. And I'm like, I don't want to mess with him. And then I see the dedication, and that's because I am the biggest procrastinator on the planet. I'm the guy that says I'm working out tomorrow, and 5 weeks later, it's like, is tomorrow here yet? But Ewokk has put in the time to be the best at what he does. And there's no procrastination. I mean, I try. I'm just like every other Joe Schmo. I'm a procrastinator, but I try to put the effort in. Ewokk, there is no procrastination. That's not even his vocabulary. And then when you see his music, does anyone know that Ewokk does music? No, I know because I watched his video. I put the time into these guys because just as much as Ewokk could learn from me, what could he learn from me? I learned from him. And there's a locker room where there is no ego involved. We're all trying to do the same thing. It's kind of like the ECW mentality.
We do.
We're
We
all
really have
doing
that.
we all got to do what we got to do to make this thing work. And we all come from different backgrounds, and it's not just black, white, purple, green, yellow. It's wrestlers that have still love the business. And I mean, there's some people that could still be bitter and work in the locker room, but there's guys like C Red, as I said, he's worked at Windy City. He's worked all these other things. He's done things. He's worked down at Resistance, and he worked with me at R Pro, and I worked and managed against him because I call him the master motivation. He comes out, and I was coming out the Soldier Boy with Marche Rocket, and the place went nuts. And then I interviewed C Red, and C Red's like, yeah, I got in the business and I started learning from you. Like, what? You don't think these effects. And the more I hear C Red every week with Steve Arendt, who is a phenomenal broadcaster,
Yes, he
um,
is.
and doesn't get the credit he deserves, has gone through the ringer. And I tell him every day, I said, Steve, you got to be professional. You got to do this. You're better than this. He was doing skits with against. I mean, we all do stupid stuff sometimes, and I'm not calling him stupid, but you do things just because you think it's going to get you over. Like, I got chased around the ring by a little girl, one of the wrestlers' daughters, and people in PCW, they ate that up. But Les Thatcher pulls me aside and goes, "You're 6'4". Why are you getting chased around a ring by a girl?" I'm like, "You're absolutely right. You're either going to be a wrestler or you play wrestler. Ewokk is a professional wrestler. He doesn't play wrestler. When people are sleeping, he's working out. He's coming up with ideas. This isn't a weekend warrior thing for him. This is life for him. He's his own brand. So when I learn from guys in your locker room, we're all come from different backgrounds. We all have different opinions, but we're all trying to work together. I might throw an idea out to John Hudson, says, "All right, John, I want you to do it this way." Well, then John Hudson throws it a different way. I'm like, wow, that actually works out. Or I get Cognito Jones, who's the jack of all trades and this giant knowledge of cutting promos and making things make sense, where he works backwards to forward instead of working forwards, vice versa. And you learn from these people. And then that's what I think everyone is on board with CCW, is because we're all learning things about each other and we find a new respect. Like I never knew about Ewokk, but I have the utmost respect. Paragon, another guy. I hate to break down that wall again, but thanks to C Red, Mr. Fourth Wall Breaker in this business.
He's like the Kool-Aid man.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
But he's the cooler version of the Kool-Aid man. He's still wearing red, but C Red has the biggest heart. His background in the military, his background as a man, his background as a father, a grandfather, all these things. And you learn so much from where I go. They had a reunion, a Midwest reunion, and I was honored to present him with manager of the Midwest. And I just talked to him about how he affected so many different people, how he's the master of motivation. And I think that's like your locker room. I learned so much about everybody in that locker room where you find a new respect. You still might have those egos involved and people are jealous of Ewokk or PL, or I don't like Ewokk or I don't like PL. And, I'll look them in their face and say, "Oh yeah, Ewokk, you're the best." But it's the same mentality that you want Ewokk's spot. You want PL's spot. You want whoever, our heavyweight champion spot, Chris Logan. I learned about Chris Logan. I don't remember seeing that much, but I have so much respect to him. True story. I went up to him before we even came out as a Chicago connection and said, "Do you mind if I carry the flag?" I didn't have to do that. I got 21 years in the business. I'm PL Myers. I did that out of respect to CCW. I respect John Bullard. I respect to Chris Logan, because we both had that flag. But that's what this business is about. It's about paying respect to each other. And yes, we'll agree to disagree, but you learn so much about your roster where it's that mentality. We're like the bad news bears of wrestling. And I've always said that about PCW. All different shapes, all different sizes, all different backgrounds. But you know what? Why did everyone love the bad news bears? Because we're the underdogs. No one on the CCW locker room ever thought in a million years they'd be on television. Been around 21 years. Ewokk, have you been on television before? Have you ever had a fan in the UK before? Nope.
No.
But now you do.
Yeah.
And why is that? And then it goes back to breaking down that wall again. Thank you, C-Red. I think C-Red's going to have to get paid at least a quarter every time we say the fourth wall. It's because of your partner, John, who I call him the Mr. Rogers of the business, who has given guys an opportunity to be successful. He believes in him as much as they believe in him. And that's what we all do it. I go through that curtain to carry that Chicago Connection flag, to represent Chicagoland Championship Wrestling the best that I can be. Why do I send things out to Power 4? Because I like those guys. They love Chicagoland Wrestling. They love the connection. So I'm going to build that bridge. So when I come over to the UK representing the Chicago Connection, representing Chicagoland Championship Wrestling, I'm an ambassador. And I represent where John doesn't have to look at. Because I know John right now, if he was going to send the Ewokk around the world to do a world tour, he doesn't have to worry about one thing about Ewokk messing up.
Not at all.
He knows he's got the heart. And that's what makes you special. I mean, yeah, you only might have 50, 60 matches under your belt, but at least you're trying to get better. I still call myself a rookie, because you think after 21 years, how many matches I have, who I worked with, all the legends, and I go, that's like that's like 6 months to the Legends when they had to travel up and down the road in a car eating bologna sandwiches, wrestling 4 times a week, twice on Sunday. So I don't take anything that I've been given for granted. I've been given an opportunity, and I do my best to be the best where I can.
Hell yeah. This come from hard work. I'm not talking about myself personally. I had a wrestling coach, Coach Graziano. He's basically the Gordon Bombay of Chicago wrestling, like Chicago high school wrestling. He always told me that there's 24 hours in a day. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you might have to work 8 of those hours. You got to sleep 6 of those hours, but it leaves you a whole bunch of hours to do whatever you have to do to become the best in your craft.
Absolutely. He's correct. So, 110%. He's correct on that.
And that man changed my life. Really, like I was a troubled youth, and I always had wrestling. I always had wrestling. I cried my first match because I couldn't wrestle because he said I was getting D's. But those F's became D's. But he was like, "No, you can't wrestle on my team if you get D's." That next week, I got C's. And then like he kept on fucking with me. He was like, "Oh, you can't have C's on my team." Next week I got B's. And I worked to get A's. And I'm a troubled youth. And I'm like, I'll say wrestling lacrosse changed my life. And it's just like you got to keep working hard, keep digging, keep going, get it out the dirt. Like this is what this podcast is for, man. Get that information. I hate that I'm going off and going on tangents, but like pro wrestling is hard work, man. Like the people that made it before us, the people that came up before us, like WWE got rid of Samoa Joe, but who cares, man? Samoa Joe worked hard to get where he was at to begin with. Like it just keep working hard, y'all. Like that weekend warrior bullshit. Get that mindset out your head. Like I want to work every day mindset now. Like I want to wrestle every day. If you in a performance center, if you wrestling at the Nightmare Factory, work hard to get there. You know what I mean? Like I said, 24 hours in a day.
Well, and that's the thing, because most people have to realize you train like this is your job, and that's what you do. I mean, most guys don't understand is that, yeah, you're going after that 1 in a million shot, but you know what? That hard work will pay off. That respect will get paid off, and you do it because you love it. Because most people fail to realize that. They fail to realize, yeah, there is a harder side of this business. Oh, I want to be a wrestler. Well, they always say you never work a day in your life, but you know what? It's hard work. Getting up in the morning, training, working out. But you know what? That hard work pays off, and those coaches and those mentors make you believe in yourself, because you can have someone motivate you every day, but it's getting those people that are there to push you every day. Like we used to have athletes in Chicago would come in and promote the business, and but they're not there every day to get you better.
Yeah. And it's just, I'm going to say this here. Right now, we have 4 schools in the Chicago land area. We have Russell League Academy at Hybrid Martial Arts. We got Freelance Academy. We have what's Steve Boz's school?
Is a CSW thing, but they also run that with PAL. They kind of split the school together. A couple of promotions run it, but it's all under the same tutelage. A lot of those guys, Jimmy Blaze,
and then
Steve Boz.
Yeah, and you have Just Amazing School. That's in in the Indiana area. There's no excuse for our local wrestlers not to either see a ring once a week or twice a week. See the gym for see an actual gym. There's Planet Fitnesses for $10 a month all around the city, all around the world. Play the part. If you want to go at work and say you're a pro wrestler, at least try to look like one. At least present yourself as one. It's just like, yeah, you could work your ass off and not look like a wrestler, but if you post out there and show it, like people are gonna start believing you, and they see you live and they be like, yo, that's my dude right there. Like I thought he was bullshitting, but he's really getting his pro wrestling in. So it's just like we have 4 schools in the Chicagoland area, guys. Like you guys got to go out there and get it. And it is what it is, man. Because there's going to be somebody the next year, 2022, 2023, that is willing to take your spot. That is gonna work as hard as he possibly can to get where he needs to be. Like I started 2 years ago. I'm 33. It's just like I got to work as hard as I possibly can to get where I need to be. So it's just like, come on, guys, let's go get this, man. Let's go get it. Let's bring Chicago back. Let's bring Chicago pro wrestling back, man. Like we're a hotbed for fans, but it's just like we're kind of in the middle when it comes to wrestling. I want to be on top when it comes to Chicago. So that's my Jerry Springer final thought.
Absolutely. Man, this has been a good podcast. A lot of lessons, a lot of good stories. You know, Paul, before we wrap things up, what would be your advice to a young person wanting to become a wrestling manager? What would be your advice to them? And what would be your advice also to young wrestlers on how they should brand themselves and for them to actually even have a legacy that people would give a shit about 20 years later?
Well, I think it starts off with, you got to know both sides of the business. You got to, you go in there with the love of the business, and then you're going to find out the dark side of the business. And, there's going to be times you're crying. You screwed up. You messed up. You got to understand that there's 2 different sides of the business. When you're watching as a fan and playing armchair quarterback, I could do that. Then you have to go there and learn how to bump and learn how to cut promos and learn how to market yourself. And it's not the easiest thing, but you do it because of the love of the sport. You do it and then you have those chances, those forever moments, as I like to call it. You look back after 20 years and go, wow, it just went like that. And the legends I work with, it's never, you told me when I was a kid, I was going to manage the Road Warriors. No. I'm going to work with Bobby Heenan, Bill Alfonso, Superfly Snuka. No. That's how it is. And I think that the thing is, if you want to be a manager, always know you could be the greatest manager, greatest promoter, greatest anything in this business. But if the promoter doesn't push you don't push me, I'm going to go nowhere. But I have to do my job to make him want to push me, because managers are a dime a dozen in some ways. We can be replaced. This isn't about the P.L. Myers show at Chicagoland. It's about the overall experience. Because if I do something wrong and those fans don't come back, John's going to look at me and say, like, well, you said that, you did that, you're out of here. I'm replaceable. I mean, no offense to Ewokk, you're replaceable.
Goddamn right.
It's not, but the thing is that when John puts his roster together, they all got to be the right puzzle pieces to make it work. And the thing is that if you're an up-and-coming manager, look the part, play the part, study the great managers, because there's things you're going to learn from other managers that no one has seen. Go back to watch Ernie Roth, the Wizard. Go back to some of these other managers. I mean, think of Saul Creechman, Scott Romer. I learned things from him that I never, I learned everything. I remember Mr. Friendly, or whatever his name, one of the managers that I learned from. You learn from a lot of different people. I mean, look at Bob Evans. I've learned so much from him about branding and about the business side. You learn from all these people, and I think the thing is, if you want to be a manager, you got to go in not blind. You can't have the blinders on and be that fan that goes, I'm going to learn everything, I'm going to be the best. You're going to get kicked down quite a few times. You're going to be told you're not good enough. You're going to be told that, but you just got to have the heart, try your best, be the best at what you are. There's only one P.L. Myers. There's only one C-Rad. There's only one Joey Roth. There's only one Ewokk. There's only one Kingpin. And, every name on that roster, there's only one of them. And if you go out there and try to be the best that you can be, with the right mentality. You know, there's people who are going to try to screw you over, try to steal your spot, talk behind your back that are your friends that aren't your friends. It's like life. This is the easy part, living in our own fantasy land. Because in the real world, again, Ewokk, no offense to myself or John, we're a bunch of nobodies. We're just given an opportunity to be somebody and make a difference. Because if I can say at the 20 years, my greatest thing is being able to help out the fans, tell those fans that this is why we love it. Because the business has changed so much in the last 20 years. It's kind of like Star Wars. You know, you see the movie and you love it, and it changes over the years, and you know, it could have been better, but it's the love of it. That's why we do it.
Hell yeah, amen with that shit. I love Star Wars, man.
Yeah. That's the best way to explain wrestling. It's Star Wars.
Yeah.
You know, we all grew up watching it. We loved it. We didn't care if it had bad graphics or bad this. It was what it is. And then you look back and go, oh my God, it was horrible. But you were caught up in the moment. And then they make new ones and it's not as good as the old ones. And then they bring back old characters to make you love it. And it's like, yeah, but it's not. It's like seeing Jimmy Superfly Snuka jump off top of the cage and now he's jumping off the second rope. It's still Jimmy Superfly Snuka, but it's not the same. So, but I just appreciate you guys giving me this opportunity to come on your show and have fun. And I have so much respect for both of you, and you know, I enjoy what I've done in wrestling. And the best way to say is at the end of the book, do what you love what you do, and the world will come to you. And that's what I've been blessed, be given an opportunity.
You know, the thing is, we're blessed to have guys like you around, Paul.
Yes,
Seriously.
sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you for being a mentor and teacher to all of us.
That's right. You'll see me June 12th. Don't worry.
Oh no, then I'll be cursing you. I'll be like, damn.
Hey, hey, June 12th is gonna be sexy. I'm coming with the new body. I might come up with a suit. Like this is uncharted territory for the Ewokk. Like I feel like June 12th might be it might be the show to be at. It is the show to be at.
So
Yeah.
thank you guys so much. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, Paul.
All right, you know what I'm saying? It's the Ewokk and JB show. We got PL Myers. You know how I do my thing, Thug Dizzle. I'm gonna have to say good night and peace.